Okay, so I'm done with my big art projects. Still not sure whether I'm going to submit them to the art shows or not. I'll put them into this video. I have to have them in by noon today. If I am, I'm not sure. Feeling kind of unmotivated here lately. So I'm going to clean up my markers that I used and all of that. And I'm going, some of these I've not used very much or used at all. And some I have questions on, so I'm going to swatch them in this book that I've used for, this is this Bee Paper Company. I really like it a lot. This is the watercolor pad. And so you can see I've done Derwent in here, my Derwent Inktense pencils that I love. I should finish out. You can see I've got quite a few. I've listed all the different colors I could find on Blick. And these are the ones that I have so far. The one thing I want to say about Derwent is sometimes more is just less is more. So these end ones that I did here, I just dipped my brush into these areas where I colored in. Like this is real thick and then progressively lighter. And I really like these light watercolor type effects I got with the Derwent Inktense pencil. Just real bright. It glows almost. So I learned a little bit. You just don't have to use a lot of your pencils to get that kind of effect. But these are all of the pencils that I've swatched, and I was going to take these pages and put them into page protectors and into a binder. That's some watercolor that I did. So these are the art bars. So I have some old art bars that I got at a thrift store many, many years ago. And so I think these are pre-Inktense. So these are the art bars that I have that I swatched out, messed around with. A little bit of artwork I did. So these are watercolor paints. These are the Groombrockers that I have. And I just did like a dot card on these pages. So I may come back in and use up what paint's left. And I just kind of swatched those and mixed them and that sort of thing. So that's where I'm at in this book. And that is why I'm using this book for these markers. And what I like to do, sometimes I like things to be kind of halfway neat. Sometimes it's just kind of ends up being a disaster. But I bought these glitter markers at Five Below, just because, I mean, the price, I wouldn't have probably paid too much more for them. But I think they're pretty dry, so when I was kind of messing around with them yesterday, I was not super impressed. But so I'll go ahead and do a little bit better in here, and I want to make sure that I have one of these black Sharpies, because I want to try them on black. I don't think any of these are, oh, here's a black marker. So I'm going to just use this, kind of like that size the best. Oops, I'll use that. Haven't used that one yet. Just go ahead and do this. I think they don't seem to show up real well, and I don't know if it's because if the markers are dried out or if they need to be on something dark, on a darker background than what I was using. And somewhere in all of these markers, I do have a black. This has not been, I don't know how to say it, primed, pumped, used. So there we go. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to do this on the half. So just color that in. So I've got a a black background to test these on. Like I said, I don't, other than these art projects, and I'll put some pictures in at the end of this video, other than those big art projects that I just got done, I don't usually use markers very much. But I've managed to accumulate quite a few, and especially here lately, and I'll kind of explain why I picked up like these. And these are I got off of Walmart, so I'll explain why I bought those. Okay, so here's one of the glitter markers. These glitter markers have a fine point and a brush point. So I personally like, you know, the brush point, the best. So let's see, hopefully that's dried enough. See how that looks. So that one isn't showing up at all on the black. So I'm just gonna put these back in the box. Here's a green. And these don't really even have, but I've kind of found that out. I mean, just my personal, nothing that really wows me as far as a glittery, shimmery effect. And maybe they're good as far as glitter markers. But I kind of like that purple. But so far nothing that really, and they really are not showing up on that black at all. And for some reason I thought they would. But no shiny on the dark, which I think is kind of weird. But the colors are pretty nice for the most part. I think that green is a little kind of drying out already, so just be aware if you happen to be around or at Five Below and you grab a set of these, you might run into that. Okay, so I need to make some more circles here. Try not to make these too big, because, you know, that was my first tendency when I started making my own swatch books, that my swatch spaces were kind of big, and it was kind of hard to, it was hard to fill those in. So keeping it manageable. Let's see. So there's 12 of these. I won't use all of these spaces, but, and then go in here with the black. So I've been really super busy continuing to organize my space. I really think carts are really super handy. And I got a kind of a taller cart, almost like a bookcase on wheels. It's metal and it's super light, which I like because my space is in a basement. So what comes down might have to go up at some point, and I don't want anything really super heavy to have to haul out of here. We got enough super heavy stuff down here. I don't think, my husband and I moved into this house about 4 years ago now, and I don't think we could do that move on our own, more or less the way we did then. So I'm really kind of liking like I said, I like brush tips. The other tip is it's a fine tip, so I'll show you a little bit of what that looks like. So it's kind of like a felt tip marker. So you can see how that looks there. Try to do a little bit more of a buildup of the marker on that black. It just doesn't show up on black. And that's, for some reason, that's kind of what I expected, I guess, out of a glitter type marker, was something that'd show up on black and just give it kind of a shine, or, you know, kind of a shiny look based on the color. I think this is the one that I felt I just couldn't. Oh, it works pretty good. Yeah, it just, nothing. And it's a pretty red though. So I don't know, you know, light fastness on these. So my art, I will probably put some kind of, I don't want to say varnish, but, and I don't really want to say fixative, but I will spray it with something that will protect it. I mean, if you put direct sunlight on about anything, it could fade, so I do as much as I can. I think most of the Derwent pencils probably are light fast. I'm really loving Derwent. In fact, I'm planning on doing a swatching video with all of my Derwent pencils here coming up. I did just submit another order to Blick for more Derwent and other type pencils. I picked up that black marker. But you can see there, I'll just clean off this tip. So that's the glitter markers, and so not much to get excited about there, I guess. But pretty colors. I like them a lot. The selection of colors. So as you can see, I mean, I've got a lot of my Sharpies out here that I used. Sharpies, these Sharpies, please Sharpie, make more colors. I love them so much. They're just beautiful, amazing markers. Creative marker. So, and yeah, I think they're wonderful. But let's move on to these markers. So, and let me show you. It's like I was expecting a coverage on the back black, at least something like that. Okay. So I am going to show you this package. 60 markers in here, acrylic markers. I like acrylic type stuff a lot. The reason, I think I only paid, I don't think I paid much more than $10 for a set of these. They were on clearance at Walmart online. So I did actually buy 3 of these. Not sure what I'm going to do with them, but because I do have a lot of markers, and like I said, I don't use them a lot. But so they are, the other 2 sets are tucked away. I might end up just having to sell them at some point so they don't dry out. But that's what I got here. Let's take a look. Here is a white. So there is a white marker in here, or kind of an off-white eggshell color. But that is what that looks like. So I'm going to go over here to a different page in this pad, just in case these pages, they come out or they come up separated or whatever. All of these will be on the same, and I'm just going to put Walmart clearance so I remember where I got them. In me. Acrylic. And use this pen. And you know what? I think I'm going to, maybe I should do the black. I don't know. I can't make up my mind. So there's 60 of these. I don't know if I'll do them all, but I'll do some. I'll do some of the ones I have out of the case and come back and maybe do them later. But right now I'm just trying to get this space cleaned up. I want to, as I said, I want to swatch out all the different types of Derwent pencils that I have right now. Except of course the Inktense that I already did swatch and showed you a little bit to explain there, but like I said, in my opinion, just the way I would use them is I probably wouldn't use them so thick. You don't really mess around with them and see how thick you would go, and then because there's no point in wasting layers of pigment on something and then getting that real opaque dark color when maybe you're looking at something that's a little bit more like a watercolor. And these are not numbered. There's no name up. So if I were thinking this through, I would put these, I would color on a adhesive address label or something like that, and then just or put it on here. Or something. Of course, you've got the cap color, and again, the tip on this. Watch out where you put those. Has some black stuff on it. Here's a blue. So that pen that I used to draw those circles, it is a water soluble. Oh, it's not getting picked up. It's a water soluble ink, so sometimes it bleeds over into whatever. And let's see. So this, oh, the tip on this must be really dirty. Really. Scoosh it. I suppose if I had maybe like an alcohol wipe or some kind of wipe or something like that, I could just wipe off that nib and get that black residue from this black marker off of there. I'm going to leave that one there. You can get some idea. I really do like these, so you might want to check clearance. I use the Walmart app because I also order my groceries from them too. So you might want to just check their clearance section for art supplies or markers or whatever it is that you might be looking for or need. Now, I thought the color, and I really like this kind of smooth, opaque coverage. Like I said, I don't use markers much. I imagine if you wanted to blend, seeing as how these are acrylic, these might not blend all that great. Could try a little. You would have to be super fast because I think these probably dry really fast. Yeah, I think it blended a little bit. Let me hit this with blue. Again, if you use your markers and you don't clean the ends before you use them again, just, you know, try them on a piece of paper and clean off that tip. I really like the selection of colors in here. Some of the lighter, more pastel colors, just good selection of that. I really like this set of markers. I like to use them if I'm working on a project or a painting or something and I just need to go in and add some finer details. It's really handy to have a set of acrylic markers like this. That's a pretty color. And then you can kind of see how they're drying too, and they retain their brightness even as they dry, so that's good. So that's that set of markers, so I'll come back and swatch some more if I've got time, but I just kind of wanted to show as I clean these up. I think I've got most of them put away. Let me see. Let's see. Here's a blue. There's a yellow. So I'm missing 2 or 3 in here. So I might have got mixed up with some other markers that I dropped in my bin or my cart. I'm picking that up. So you'll notice that I've got a lot of these. These PNP KT oil-based paint marker. So I ordered these from Temu. And I have some problems with them, even though I did order a lot, and then I went back and ordered another set there's some issues with them, but I thought they're usable, if that makes sense. So I am going to set up my little page here. And these are an oil-based marker and or paint pen. So I am going to go ahead and set up my little swatch spaces. And this is actually, it's kind of unfair to test these on this particular paper, and I'll explain why. If I experience the same problems with these, I'll explain why. Ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. See, this is what I do not like about these markers. So you have that pump thing. So if you're doing this on a piece of your artwork, be sure and pump that nib on a separate piece of paper, because I unless I'm drastically doing something wrong, it's been my experience more often than not that paint just sometimes just floods out like that. So just be aware. This one's a little bit darker yellow. So this one I've used quite a bit. The other thing you have to do too, be sure and do it with the lid on, or you could get paint flying everywhere, is shake these up. So when I didn't shake this one up, so I got a lot of that oil medium in these oil-based paint kind of flooded out. So this one, so is it gonna do it again? That's probably enough pumps. I mean, it doesn't take a lot, but just you can sit here, shake these up, pump them and pump them, and then get nothing, and then all of a sudden you'll get a big flood of paint like that. This, you can see here where this paint, because this is a rough surface watercolor paper, wood pulp paper, it's kind of splatters all over. This one has not been used, and I'm not going to pump it because I actually have a couple of sets of these, so I'm just right now trying to find the ones that I've used. These have not been used. So when I was trying to finish up that artwork last night, I had one box open, and I opened up another box and just kind of dumped them. And this one had leaked, so you can see, I don't even know if it's going to work. We'll find out. Well, it's a good way to get your arm exercises in, I guess. So this one, I didn't even have to pump it. It's just running out after doing the shaking. So whatever leaked out there, I'm sure it's used up some of the product, but it looks pretty good. So, that one's not been used. You know, I should shake that a little bit. So just, you have to keep in mind that these markers have to be shaken to mix the paint and the oil medium. That is a pretty color. All right. Here's a white. I haven't used that. Again, I am really bad at it, but lift your marker off. Go to a piece of scratch paper if you're going to pump it. I just went crazy. But, I mean, this is kind of my... And see, I barely pumped that one. I just wanted it to be a little bit more free-flowing. But here's the thing. You can see that little specks of paint. As it goes over those rough spaces on the paper, just kind of spattering. So, let's see. See how that spatters? Something to watch for. Here's my other marker. And this one kind of spatters all over too. And maybe there's a way you can hold, like I was holding those at more of an angle so they didn't spatter as much. And then this one. And that one's not being used. So I bought one of these carts with all those little drawers in it, and it needs to be, I did buy it used, it needs to be kind of tightened up. It's very wobbly and loose. So my husband's the handy person around the house with that sort of thing, and he's been busy working on a van that we're converting to a camper van. So I'm just putting all of these in here. And these are all my acrylic paint type markers. Years ago I bought these Arteza acrylic markers. And I do like them very much. And they have lasted a long time. Because I think it was like 2019 when I bought these, and I've used them quite a lot. So those are some, but I did use those, even in spite of the fact that they did spatter. I did use them quite a bit in my artwork. The other things that I've used that I think I've talked a little bit about in another video are these King Art metallic markers. I hate it when I find caps but no markers. That's weird. And I did find these on Blick, and with I haven't received it yet, but with my most recent order to Blick, I decided, yeah, I think I want more of those. I really like them a lot. They're metallic, so they've got a little bit of a shine to them, but they really work good on different types of surfaces. And I'll show you a little bit. Let's take this gold. They show up pretty well on stuff like this. So, and this was a set of 10. I'm not sure how many markers were in the the set that I just ordered from Blick. But when I get those in, maybe I'll just do a video on all of these. And they've got a little bit of a shine to them. I do like them a lot. So when I find something I like, then I just feel like I have to have more. Again, I use the brush end on markers more, I think, than the chisel tips. Now, if I were using these in a coloring book or something like that, where I wanted a little bit more fine detail, then I would probably use the chisel tip end. But look at that. Those are that's cool. So I've got 6, 7 of these that I can find right now. I don't know what happened to the other ones. But I'm trying harder to keep my stuff together, so it's a little bit easier to find. And then the other kind of marker, if you can find them at your local Dollar Tree, these are by INC ink, and they're called well, this is what the package looks like that they come in. Journaling ink metallic brush marker. Like these a lot. It's just a good value, you know, and they work so nice. I don't think there's a broad range of colors. I've got them in green, purple, gold, and silver so far. So that's the colors I found them. You can order these from Dollar Tree's website. Free shipping to the store. Otherwise, you've got to pay shipping to your house. And then I have this bigger Flicey. So these are great. And I wish they had these in more colors. But you can see there's no spattering like there was with the other ones. And so it goes on really nice. So, and they flow out really nice too. It's not a lot of pumping on those. And then I did use Sharpies quite a bit. And just nothing compares. Just more colors. You know, I wish they would make these in more colors like they do with their regular, you know, Sharpie. And this is a fine point, so. And I'm not real crazy about fine point, but like this is an Artist Loft that I got at Michael's on sale. So, you know, they just go on real dry and hard. But, you know, in the spirit of experimenting, here's the red with the Sharpie, and it just flows on. It goes on so smooth, even over that rough red paper or watercolor paper. And then pink fine point. So there's that. And so I got these at, I think I ordered these from Walmart or somewhere. And these are clickable felt tip pens. And very fine point. These are going to be awesome to use in coloring books, as well as other art that calls for details. But again, the thing I like, this clickable, it pulls the point back up in there. So you can tell I have paint on my hands. When it comes, it has this little cap on it. and it goes on really smooth, and there's no paint spatter or anything like that. So these are by Zebra, and so maybe I haven't really looked around to see if there's more selection of colors. I think I would buy more if I could find them. But retractable felt tip pen. So that's what those are. And so in this thing of storage drawers that I've got my Sharpies in the top. I've got my pink pens in the next. My Zig down below. So these are my Zig. What that is. These are my Zig Clean Color Real Brush. You can just see right there. And I like those, and I have mainly bought those at Goodwill's. That's where I first discovered those. The other thing, and maybe I've talked about this in other videos, but I'll mention it here, is this Gelf pen highlighter. Oh my gosh. If you are looking for, look at that, got red paint on it. Gelf pen. If you are looking for a good white pen, I suggest you experiment with this. Grab a set or one and just try it out. I am in love with these. I like Signo, and I have a lot. There's some in this bag. So this is stuff I had upstairs. So my kitchen table, sometimes I just got to get out of the basement and work up there. And this was a bunch, but I think there's, oh, here's the Signo. And you can see it's got the Japanese writing on it. And so look at the Signo, and here is the Gath. Tell me which one you like the better. For me, hands down, it's the Gath pen. But here is a older silver Signo. Silver. Oh, now I feel bad because I was having good luck with that one. Here's another one. I think that one's dried out. Yeah, look at how that works. Beautiful pen, beautiful. I love the silver, I love the gold. I like the white too for the most part. Just once in a while it doesn't work. I had pretty good luck with that Geth pen. And here's a gold. I don't know. It looks pretty dried out. Oh, it's still got some life. And these do last a long time, the Signo. The Geth pen I've used a lot. Seems to be lasting quite a while. So pretty happy with those. I have a bag that I put those in. This is some kind of, I can hear the ball in there shaking around. White acrylic, very thick, and it also has more of a brush type end to it. So this is a green, this is also a Dollar Tree pen. And I just went through all of my pens upstairs. I was gonna get rid of them. There was a bunch of these in here. I wish they had them in more colors because I think they're absolutely delightful. So I may have to jump on Dollar Tree and see if they have a more selection of colors online than what I'm seeing in the stores. Here's a Sharpie fine pen, dried out. So I don't try not to keep stuff around that, you know, I can't think of a purpose for. So this is a 4A Rolly, nice pen. Here is a Sharpie that's black, fine. I keep asking myself, why don't you just use Sharpie? You know, I go to these Micron pens, and sometimes this one works very nice. Very great for fine details, you know, writing on over things. Shows up really great. That one works really great. It's 0.05, very fine point. That'd be fun to do some very fine detailed pen and ink drawings with. And this one is 0.5. So you can see a difference in the thickness and the darkness of that pen. So this is a seriously fine. Had it forever. I have no clue where I even got it. It's working pretty good. I think it's dried out. This is also, I don't know, it could be that at one time I lived where there was a Daisu, and I bought a lot of stuff. Daisu is kind of like a Japanese type dollar store, and you'll see them in Seattle area. Now they're coming into Colorado. I don't know if they're going to survive the tariffs, but we'll see. This tariff battle, it's hurting my art supply collector's heart. There we go. That's just a pigment pen. I think I used that a little bit. This is another Zig. Very nice hard nib on this. I like that. And it's got a good point to it. This is a Stampin' Up blender. I thought this was a Tombow. I recommend Tombow. I like them a lot. So just a couple regular ink pens. And I also use a lot. I have a big set of these. Never swatched them out. Just to play around with a little bit. These are water-based markers. I want to use these in my coloring books. So that goes in there. There's a case that those come in. So that is my big tidy up for today. That is it. That's everything I used on my most recent, well, not everything. I used a lot more on my most recent project. These pens, this is just a gel writer. A lot of these I have a problem with because they seem to dry out so fast. So that's it. That's what I have on my table today. Look for the Derwent swatch discussion video coming up soon.